to Going Green, the television show sponsored by the Chamber to promote and celebrate economic vitality along with environmental sustainability. We support meeting present needs without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their needs. Today we will hear from Mike Gallagher of Watt Electric to present a new FHA loan program that allows people to finance their solar installation using their mortgage. Next, Julie Morris, Executive Director of Vision San Benito, to discuss the input gained from their last public workshop. And finally, Kate Woods, former Pinnacle News columnist, artist, and author of Quicksilver Chronicles, will talk about ongoing problems of environmental contamination at New Idria and the role of the Environmental Protection Agency in the cleanup efforts. First up is Mike Gallagher. Hey, Mike, welcome back on the show. It's really good to see you.
Thanks for having me on again.
Yeah, great. You know, let's begin by talking about what solar installations can do to reduce monthly energy bills.
Well, you know, solar can reduce significantly the cost that people currently spend on powering their homes month to month. You know, we develop systems based on the amount of electricity that someone is using. And, you know, there's a number of different ways that you can install solar that will significantly reduce the amount of money that you're spending each month. One of the things that we are here to talk about today is the FHA Green Loan Program that we've developed in conjunction with a couple local realtors and mortgage brokers in order to allow people to install solar on their homes in a way that doesn't require any out-of-pocket expense and enables them to maximize the savings that they can get from having solar installed on their home.
Great. You know, and talking about environmental features for homes, I guess that's what people want these days. I was just looking at a Yahoo poll that was conducted in December of 2011, and there were 1,545 respondents. That the results of the poll, that 60% of the people consider that green energy efficient appliances is what they're, you know, what they want in a home. Yeah.
And you know, the thing is that the way that people define what their dream home is changing. It used to be people wanted, you know, the big McMansion with a large entertainment room, maybe, you know, a big master bathroom. But now one of the things that this survey showed is that, you know, one of the main features that they're looking for in their dream home is something that's energy efficient. And that's exactly what this FHA Green Loan Program aims to provide to people, is a way to move into a new home, have these type of energy efficient systems installed, and have it done in such a way that maximizes not only the savings that they realize upfront, but the savings that they realize long term. One of the things that's very popular right now is a solar lease. And a solar lease does provide a way for people to have solar put on their home without taking any money out of pocket. The problem is that you have to forfeit the tax credits and the rebates that you get for installing these systems to the leasing company. In addition to the fact that the monthly payment that you see for the lease is usually only marginally less than what your existing utility payment is. So, you know, you can get solar on your home for a little out of pocket for a lease, but it's not necessarily the best way to do it. With the FHA Green Loan financing, you get no money out of pocket. It doesn't increase the down payment that you have to pay for moving into the home, and you get up to $5,400 in tax credits, and you can get up to $650 in rebates from PG&E, money that you would normally have to forfeit to the leasing company if you did a solar lease. You actually get to keep that money when you move into the house. So it's a fairly significant system that we've developed for allowing people to get solar on their home with really no money out of pocket and maximizing their long-term savings.
Yeah, you know, I'm happy that you mentioned the vision of the home of the future is no longer the big mansion on top of the hill. And you don't need the entertainment room when you're next to the city. I mean, you can ideally walk or bike to those venues. So, I mean, that's, and you can have a smaller home with, get the bigger perception of the space with the open space concept. Don't want to get off the path there, but I've been preaching about that for a long time when we talk about new urbanism.
And it seems that the general public is starting to catch up with those concepts. You are starting to see them, like I said in this survey, they're not looking for, you know, the traditional items that you identified with a dream home. They're actually seeing it more as a green home and wanting to live a more sustainable lifestyle by, you know, reducing the amount of electricity that they use month to month, and saving a lot of money while doing that.
Yeah, going back to the Yahoo poll, 27% said that those green features are really what the reason why they want to buy a new home. They want a home with the green features.
Right.
You know, so this is the home of the future. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the way that it looks. And we're working with some local realtors, Ray and Peggy Pierce out at Intero Realty, and a few of the local Wells Fargo loan officers in order to make these types of programs available to people in the area. So, you can contact us at our office, or you can feel free to give Ray and Peggy Pierce a call at the Intero Real Estate office. And they'll be able to give you all of the information that you need to show you that this really is a great way to take that first step in living a more sustainable lifestyle.
Yeah, when the pilots come down and land their planes at our airport, they'll see all those solar installations on the rooftops. We know that the character of our community is changing.
That's the goal.
Hey, well, just want to thank you again for coming on the show, Mike. And is there a website address that you'd like to tell our viewers?
You can find us on Facebook. You can actually go on to Facebook and do a search for Watt Electric Inc. You can also check us out at wattelectricinc.com, or you can give us a call at the office. It's 831-637-1000.
Great. And I want to have you come back on the show again. We'll talk about some more of the solar installations that
We've got a number of different projects going on in the area. I'd love to talk to you about it.
Okay, great. Well, thanks again, Mike.
All right, thanks, Dave.
Okay, we'll see you next time.
Take it easy.
Watching Going Green. And on the set with me is Sean Novak, who's a Water Resources Program Manager with the Water Resource Association of San Benito County.
That's a mouthful.
Julie Morris, the Executive Director of Vision San Benito, and Kate Woods, who's a freelance writer, artist, and she's also a former Pinnacle News columnist, as Julie Morris, who also worked for the Pinnacle News as a reporter. So it's kind of a reunion here with Julie and Kate, and I really want to welcome you. Thanks, guys, for coming on the show here.
Thanks for having us.
You're very welcome. And we'll begin with Julie. Julie, you had a summit for the Vision San Benito, and you formulated a View 22, which is San Benito County's 10-year initiative. Maybe you can give us a little executive summary how that came about and what came on that.
So the summit was a 3-day meeting, really, of residents in San Benito County. And the point was to come together and talk about the future of San Benito County and make sure that we had an inclusive representation of as many people in the county as possible. So we worked for months ahead of time to make sure that that happened. And we were pretty happy with the results. There were about 130 participants that came over 3 days. We brought in Bob Chadwick and Diane Seehauer of Consensus Associates. They run a firm in Oregon that does this all over the country, all over the world, really. And the idea is to build on ideas and vision that is agreeable by a lot of people, so to reach a consensus. And then use that as sort of your platform to tackle projects that help make the county a better place to live.
Okay. And were there any, things that came about from this diverse participation that has any common themes that you'd like to share with us?
Yes, I think as in most communities, obviously people want safety, they want good schools, they want health care, they want recreational opportunities, which San Benito County has those things, but they can be improved also.
Right.
One of the big things that came out of it, I think, was the need for a central place for information and for people to find reliable places to gather, not just physically, but even online, where you can go for news and information and just have a place to connect.
Right.
Was there anything that surprised you as far as the feedback that you got?
I'd say that one surprise is that there isn't as much tension or disagreement as a lot of people might want to believe. I think in general, a lot of people in the county are on the same page.
Yeah, I was impressed by that too, because I participated in one day of the summit, and I expected a lot more discourse, and pretty much, most of the people are on the same page on what they want, just economic vitality, good housing, health care are the main ones that came
Well,
up.
it seems like this show is called Going Green, and we want to keep lower our carbon footprint. It seems to me that the key is job creation, along with having choices for our youth. So you have houses and jobs, proximity to where you live. I mean, it is a win-win situation.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I think that San Benito County has a lot to offer, so we strengthen it and have a sense of identity and a sense of place. And then we go to this a remote area, 67 miles to the southeast, New Idria, where Kate Woods has been living there for over 10 years, I believe. Right?
30,
Kate?
the family's been there for 30 years.
And here, it has a 120-year history of start with Joaquin Murrieta and the bandits and, prospectors and stagecoaches, and it's got a lot of history. But then it developed a mining of quicksilver. And I was reading in the Mercury News that 21 million gallons of toxic water flows out of that mine every year. And that to me was really
Yeah, and one of the concerns is that's one of the few creeks or rivers that goes from west to east and connects to the San Joaquin River, which works its way up into the delta, so it affects us all.
Yeah, and mercury, as we know, is a deadly toxin that can harm the nervous system, the brain, the heart, the kidney, the lungs, and the immune system. So Kate Woods, a resident of New Idria, has written a book, Quicksilver Chronicles. I have a copy of it right here. I've been reading it, and describes her experience living in the forgotten ghost town marked by the acrid, lethally polluted watershed. So you're welcome, Kate. Maybe I can begin by asking you what drove your passion to write this book.
Oh, it really was my mother. She's the one thing that really made me finally finish it. She was always very supportive of everything I do and all my writing, but she's also the one who was the first torchbearer to get attention to clean up New Idria. And she started this file back in 1980 when we landed up there, and we knew what was wrong with it, but we didn't know how lethal it was. But she decided she was going to try to get a hold of every official and agency and be heard, and she got shined on a lot. I mean, this went on and on to the point where she developed this file, and we called it the Woods File. We eventually gave it to San Benito County Board of Supervisors. They made a huge binder out of it and sent it out to all of our representatives. And that's when the ball finally, I think, started to roll a little bit,
Well, why do you think it didn't get more prominent attention? Was it because the remoteness?
The argument was that, this creek, the San Carlos Creek, only flows for 5 miles. It dries up. But as my family witnessed every other winter, I mean, anytime it flooded, you knew that it was hitting the next tributary, and the next tributary, you could follow it in a helicopter if you had one. And it would eventually go to, just like you said, the Joaquin, and then to the Delta, San Francisco Bay, and it's, a lot of people would say, well, it's not our concern, but cattle drink from those aquifers and everything. So don't look out for your next Big Mac. And
Was the water actually orange, Kate?
It was lava orange.
Describe that.
And it still is.
Yeah.
Still is.
Iron sulfide.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been living in Hollister for 16 years, and I was aware of this situation in New Idria. I was aware that it did have pollution, but I wasn't aware of the severity of the problem until this Mercury News article came out with the 21 million gallons, and that really opened my eye. I mean, if that water goes through the San Carlos system and then gets into San Joaquin, it gets into San Francisco Bay. It's a serious issue.
Well, and we import a lot of our water from the Delta area too, for the farmers and for the urban population. So it does have an impact. That
blows my mind.
Yeah. And awareness is a key word that we use here in the green message. Being aware of our environment, being aware of our surroundings, being aware of the impact of technology. But now I understand that since September that New Idria is a Superfund site.
Finally.
And, it's finally we're starting to get some action from the Environmental Protection Agency in cleaning up the mess, so which is good. And so, we talk about nature and talk about conservation. What you're conserving is something that's promoting health. So we need to clean up the environment. It has to be done, and I'm glad that we're finally seeing some signs of action out there. Is that right, Kate?
I didn't think we'd live to see it, actually. We really didn't think it would ever happen. We gave up. We just gave up. My brother and I were the ones left up there. So it's amazing.
Yeah, I guess what I understand, they're digging a ditch around the mine and lining it with plastic, and then they put a pipe at the mine's entrance and goes into a detention pond. But it's going to take years of testing and public workshops, you know, and figuring out how we're going to employ technology to be effective in cleaning up the pollution.
That's very good. Well, you know, in addition to the pollution, too, the historical significance out there, I wasn't aware of that. We were talking about Joaquin Murrieta earlier, who's being a native Californian. I'd heard of him before. He's an old outlaw in the old Spanish days. But he was also the model for Zorro, which was one of my childhood heroes. So, and there's Herbert Hoover was involved in the mines out there. He was like a percentage partner at one time.
Yes, that's actually true. We've got documents showing this. And for Joaquin Murrieta, it was his stopping ground, along with Cantua Canyon, where they grow all the pot now. It was a town, a working town, with 600 people living there at the turn of the century. It's unfortunate that a lot of the outbuildings got burned down about a year ago in metal looting. So, because, you know, it just didn't get preserved.
Right. But I also didn't realize there was two big mercury mines in the country, and that was one of them. The other one was Almaden.
Right.
You mentioned the Mercury News. That's how they got their name, which I didn't know it was all related that way.
And you know, just to get an idea how toxic this substance is, they tried, there's a similar mine in Redding, California, where they try to dam up the opening of the mine with a 6-foot concrete and metal wall, and the acid, the corrosive, acidic quality of that pollution ate right through it. Wow. So it's like
it's amazing.
Mercury, which was used to separate gold from ore, and it was part of the technology. And then finally in the 70s, you know, it wasn't needed anymore. As an architect, it's kind of similar to lead in paint, where now you have to almost like, you know, Bertrand Russell's essay of Science to Save Us from Science, find out a technology to clean it up now that, you know, that you have to switch gears with the technology. You know, the Environmental Protection Agency that was started in 1970 with, you know, Richard Nixon, okay?
Yeah.
You know, it's a federal agency, but it kind of has delegated a lot of the authority to the states, and sometimes this authority gets languished. With the Bush administration, they didn't have really a clear objective, so there wasn't the motivation to come up with getting any action with cleaning up our environment. But I know finally it looks like we're finally getting some progress.
Yeah, it's been on and off the Superfund list. New Idria has 4 times, and I assume that's because of the changing of political guard, but you know.
Wasn't there some problems with ownership issues out there too?
Yes, because when they didn't think the EPA was going to ever put it back on the Superfund list, they decided, well, what they were going to do, I think, was to find the responsible party. That's the thing to do. This thing, as you had mentioned in the opening, that the mine has gone through so many hands, and the paperwork is so all over the place, and there were so many high graders and claim jumping and bilking, and it was pretty crazy. And some guys would own it for 1 month, you know, and so to find the responsible party that's dumping all this acid mine drainage, it's just pretty crazy. I mean, it'd be broken up into so many bits. But one of the water boards was trying to do that, and my brother and I were always saying, well, the thing is that the federal government actually took over the mine during the World Wars, particularly during World War II, because mercury was then used to make munitions, bombs. And we actually found the documentation for that buried up there in one of the outbuildings. And I mean, this old 1941 Department of Defense paper. You know, they went up there. I even think they garrisoned soldiers up there. They told them where to dig. So it was really big. And then probably all the other little wars in between.
Wars. What do you think turned the corner this time as far as getting it back on the Superfund site and seeing some action out there?
You know, all I can say is it's so ironic that because I had given up on it and I really just don't know what finally got. I had made some comments to the EPA over the years, you know, as a citizen, but I thought they thought I was a crackpot, a Mad Hatter in New Idria. But 1 month after I finished this chronicle, this book, which is about, it's like an environmental memoir of living up there. And 1 month after, in September of last year, I see the 18-wheelers going up the road, and they actually moved dirt. I mean, my brother and I were just, is this really happening?
Wow.
They said it was going to, but yeah.
They got a copy of your book, Kate?
They have not seen. I said, you know, you might want to look at this, but I don't think they have.
Yeah, this is described as a satirical and surreal memoir. And I find it very unique and enlightening, and highly recommend this book to our viewers. And I just want you all to know you can purchase this book at lulu.com. That's LULU.com. It's just a, you know, I really get a kick in the pants reading this, I'm telling you. It's very unique, and I really have to commend you for writing that.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I also think it highlights how individuals can make change happen, and that goes back to what you're working on, Julie. That, you know, you get groups in the community that are passionate about something, we can make change.
Yeah, with the vision, you know, with San Benito County, you know, here we have something that we're working with, and we need to strengthen the identity of it and develop a sense of place. But with New Idria, which was once, you know, the only thing happening 120 years ago, but it's like 67 miles to the southeast. Before we can, you know, preserve any of those historic buildings that are there, that apparently there was a fire there too.
Yeah, that's
recently that burned like 13 of them, I think.
Yeah, it was like one whole side of town.
Yeah, but there's a lot to be preserved there. But before we can do that, we have to kind of, you know, reinvent it in a way of, because of it's such a toxic mess. So I think one of the EPA officials called it a toxic hell, I believe.
Yeah, toxic hell, I think it was. Yeah.
So I mean, it's nothing that you can just, you know, skirt over. I mean, it's something that needs to be, it has to be worked on and corrected.
Definitely.
And I'm glad to see the EPA is finally coming around to doing something out there. And I want to make sure that, you know, we get Kate coming back on and later on in the show and seeing, tell us what progress has been made.
Oh, I'd love to. I'd love to. I can't wait to be able to tell you that it's the creek is clear. There's animals drinking from it, including humans.
Yeah.
You know, and
I guess potentially it can be quite a nice place. I mean, as I've heard it described, kind of like the Wyoming.
Oh, it's
some of the
beautiful.
nice
You go out there in the
features similar to
springtime.
Wyoming.
It's beautiful with the wildflowers and the green hills and the walk outcrops. It's very nice. But I want to get back to Julie, because I know the summit really revealed a lot of the goals and aspirations of our community. And I just kind of, you know, I think it was a great process, but it's like, where do we go from here? You know,
Yeah, that's a great question. So really the role of Vision San Benito is to encourage and facilitate the discussion, which I feel like is alive and well. The projects that come out of the summit and the listening sessions we held last summer are really going to be up to the community to complete. And I feel like there's movement towards a lot of them. There's talk of renovating parts of the high school, of bringing the Gavilan College campus downtown, of building a new library, of creating this online informational hub. All of these are great ideas that Vision is happy to help facilitate and get off the ground. But we're really going to need community support to make them happen.
So are you building up alliances with other groups as
We
you
are.
go? Okay.
We are. In fact, we're working with school districts, with the city, and a lot of groups to make sure that some of these things actually get some traction.
That's great. That's great. I know one of the criticisms I get, you know, I'm out in the public a lot doing my water conservation message to the community, and a lot of people said that they didn't feel there was enough inclusiveness of more different diverse groups were involved with the summit, and I was part of that, and I can say that's definitely not what happened. I got to go out to the migrant camp out on Southside Road and listen to some of the people that live out there, and I think you really tried to reach out to everybody that you could. You can't put a gun to somebody's head and have them participate, but I think your inclusiveness was great, and I feel we got from many different sectors. Do you feel that way too?
I do. It's always a challenge to make sure everybody's included. We did offer translators. We did go to the migrant camp. We even interviewed a group of homeless people. So we really made an effort to get out there and not talk to the same old people who are
Right.
at every meeting.
Because we do have that reputation. There's a handful of people that kind of
Absolutely.
inform policy and
Yep.
the direction of the county. So
The do-gooders.
they do good. Gadflies, I believe, no? A gadfly.
Every community needs do-gooders.
Oh yeah, and they're great,
Yeah.
but there's a
Yeah,
lot of
they're
other
great.
people
No,
out there too.
there are, and I
They
think
are
I
great.
saw new faces, and I was involved. I've never been involved in that, so it was a great process.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm glad you were involved.
Yeah.
Is there going to be, again, are you going to have another?
Yeah, I'm thinking we should have a listening session
Summit
down in
or-
New Idria. What do you think?
Really?
Come on down.
Yeah, I mean, like, maybe 10 years from now, or
Yeah.
hopefully, maybe less. I mean,
Yeah.
We do have
we
a
can
couple
celebrate
more
New
planned.
Idria with Kate, yeah.
The
Have a party
resurrection.
over there.
On the bridge over troubled water.
Right.
Do that.
Yeah, this time it's not going to be orange water, it'll be clear water, right?
That's right.
Right, Sean?
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I want to know. Is your cat orange naturally, or is that happening?
Yeah, no, he's orange. He
Okay.
is
23 years old, I understand.
23.
Orange
Still
the cat.
going
The mayor
strong.
of, well, that's.
Mayor of New
Mayor
Idria.
of New Idria,
Yeah.
right, yeah.
He was actually elected by a Pinnacle poll. Yeah. He won over my brother and I. We were terribly disappointed.
Well, I hope both of you ladies come back and update us on the progress that you're working on, and Kate, what's going on out there, because it is an isolated community, and unless you drive out there and see for yourself what's happening, it's hard to get news out of there. So.
Yeah, it is.
And I want to ask Kate, Julie, if someone wants to, a community member wants to get involved in Vision, how would they, is there a website that you?
Yes, you can go to the Community Foundation's website, which is www.cffsbc.org.
Great.
And then just click on the Vision tab, and it'll
Yeah.
take you right there.
Yeah, and I want to close by saying, read this book, lulu.com. Thank you, Kate. Thank you, Julie, and thank you, Sean.
Thank
You're
you.
great. Good to
Appreciate
see
it.
you guys.
Hey, you're back on Going Green, and I want to thank Mike Gallagher from Watt Electric and Kate Woods.
It's great
and
seeing Kate
Julie
again.
Morris. Yeah, it's great. It's great seeing Kate and having Julie back on, and Mike also.
Right.
It's a great show again. And also, I want to thank you.
I thank you, David.
My co-host.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
It
But
wouldn't be a show without you, Sean. I want you to know that, okay?
thank you, David. You do a good job putting it together.
Yeah,
but-
well, I need your help.
But I'm looking forward to seeing Julie and Kate in the future, and we can keep progress on what they're working on, because these are some ambitious projects that both these women are working on, and I'd like to keep tabs on it. So,
Absolutely, I agree 100%. And I want to thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next time on Going Green.
goodbye, everyone.